Welcome to Paul Champlina's Talking Property channel. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am delighted to feature Barry Silkman on lifetime stories and property. Barry, how are you?
Good, champs. Thank you, mate.
It is a pleasure. We've known each other for a long time.
Long time, yeah. Played with each other. Football, that is.
Yeah,
Football,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We've only just started and you get me in trouble. That is so wrong, man. Jesus Christ. Look, you're a legend, right? And I really appreciate you coming down to our studios in Boreham Wood.
Very welcome.
This section is about people that have excelled and got a real colourful lifetime of experiences in their profession, but also there's a link to property right at the end, which I'm going to ask you. So, Barry, you're 72 years old. I cannot believe it.
Champs, you're not supposed to say
that. 72 years old, I can't even believe it. And you're still playing football.
Every week, mate, yeah.
I know, it's just unbelievable. So let's start, let's bring it right back.
Yeah.
Where were you brought up and how did you become a professional footballer?
Brought up in the East End of London, born in London Hospital, Whitechapel.
Whitechapel, yeah.
Brought up mainly, not all the time, but mainly in Petticoat Lane.
Yeah.
And become a footballer by, I did a big talk yesterday for 1.5 hours.
Wow.
With some people, and there was it was packed, and a lot of questions, and this came up as to how I become a footballer. And when I was 15, because my mum was a singer, part-time singer, so I used to sing a lot with her, but I also loved playing football. It was easy for me to sing because my mum took me up on stage.
So you had the personality and confidence.
And it was easy because I could sing, and my mum was doing it. So my mum goes, "Come on, boy, up you get." That was from when I was 5. But also from when I was 5 years old, she used to take me to football. Always wanted to be a footballer. But to be honest, champs, how do you become a footballer? We didn't have a clue. My mum and dad were potless.
Yeah.
Lived in the middle of Petticoat Lane. And with my nan.
They wanted you to get an education, didn't they, in those days or not?
No, they didn't care.
Right.
As long as I was good, didn't get into trouble, they didn't really care. So there I was. How'd you become a footballer? I had no idea. My dad, and this is what I said to the people yesterday, this is my belief. I've played at the highest level. And there's not that many people that have played at the highest level. And I have to tell you, 10% is ability, 10% is hard work, 80% is luck. Because the story of how I become a footballer is so ridiculously lucky. And the funny thing is, you're sort of involved without it being you, and I'll explain why. My dad, very quiet man. My mum was a lunatic. My dad, very quiet man. He was invited to go to, are you ready? A charity boxing night.
Right, okay. Like I run.
Yep, and he very rarely went. But I think he was so fed up with my mum going to bingo 4 times a week that he's gone, I'm going, you can stay in and look after Barry. He goes, and they're putting him on a table where he knew there was a table of 10, and he said he knew 6 or 7 very well because they were from Petticoat Lane.
Yeah.
So when he gets there, he got your names out, but everyone's sitting on his table. It's 10, and someone's sitting on his seat. It's full up. So the guy running it said to him, "Sam, I'm really sorry. They want to sit together because they're best friends. Do you mind sitting on this table?" My dad didn't care. He said, yeah. He sits down, doesn't know a person on the table. Okay, gets talking to the guy next to him. Said to my dad, "What do you do?" He said, "I'll do a bit of painting and decorating. Got a stall in Petticoat Lane." He said, "What about you?" He said, "I'm do this. And he said, "I'm a scout, football scout." He said, "Who for?" He said, "Queen's Park Rangers." So my dad said, "Do you know, my boy's a really good footballer." So this guy said, "Everyone says the same thing." So my dad said, "I don't know," which is true. "I don't know anything about football. I'm only going on what I've been told by other people who play with him and play against him." So the guy said, "Well, look, what I'll do, I'll take him for a trial on Wednesday. Give me your details. Where do you live?" My dad said Petticoat Lane. His name was Davy Lazarus, but they called himself Davy Laser. And all his family were boxers, except for Mark Lazarus, who was a footballer.
He played for QPR. He was a goalkeeper, wasn't he?
No, right winger.
Right winger, sorry.
And that is how this guy got as a scout.
Right.
So Wednesday tells me where I've got to go. My dad
and you were 15?
And myself, 15 years old, coming up to 16. tells me we've got to go. It's some kind of school, and it is a schlep. Never had a car. My dad never had a car. We get on the train, we then get on a bus, and their ground for the youngsters, for the trial, was not far from Wimbledon. So we walk about 10 minutes, we get there, and there's 2 lots of games going on. There's 1 lot of games going on over there, and then there's a load of people there. And they take me to the people there. And all they give you is a football shirt. So you've got your own shorts, your own socks, and a shirt. Now, if you've never been a footballer, people say, well, that's all right. It doesn't matter. You've got the same shirts on, same colour. And it isn't. Because when you're playing at a really high level, you pass the ball a lot of times what you see with people's socks or shorts.
Right.
So as the ball comes in, you're looking down, you can see someone there, and you go, boom, and play it to them and go. So you actually play a lot of the time by looking at people's socks and shorts. You don't that often.
You don't look up.
Always look up.
It's instinct.
Sometimes you can't look up.
Instinct.
But this game, you had to look up.
Yeah.
But the team I'm playing for were like hopeless. The boys I'm playing against were hopeless. I scored 4 or 5 goals. I made about 6. We won about 15-2.
Jesus.
And I'm thinking, how can this be a trial for Queen's Park Rangers? So I walked off and I said to my dad, Dad, they were worse than my team. I played for Brady.
Yeah.
Brady Youth Club on the Sunday. I said, they're worse than Brady. Then he comes over, David Laser, and he goes to my dad. He can play. He said, what we've done, we've put him with all the people that just come here training.
Right.
They've got nothing to do with
people.
QPR. We just let them train here because I want to make sure he said next week he's going to join in with them. And that was it.
Wow. I mean, it's an incredible story. So you signed for QPR. I'm just going to run through because we can be here all day. Yeah, I mean, I've got 2 pages here of football clubs. So you got.
I was at QPR and Fulham as a kid.
QPR, Fulham.
Then.
Yep.
Had a problem.
Yep.
Physical problem with someone else, and I never played for almost a year.
Right.
Not through my not because I didn't want to. I just was moved out the way, if you like.
But then let me just run through the list because obviously it's an age. You got so 71 when I was born. Right, not that you're old, right? Wimbledon, Barnet, Hereford, Crystal Palace, Plymouth, Luton on loan, Man City, we'll come back to Man City, Maccabi Tel Aviv on loan, Brentford, Queen's Park Rangers, Orient, Southend, Crewe, Wickham, Chelmsford City you ended up, and you had over 340 professional appearances and 31 goals.
Yeah.
Wow. So talk to me about playing at the highest level, which was Man City.
Unbelievable. It's like
Malcolm Allison.
Malcolm was actually the coach, not the manager. The manager was Tony Book, in name. But the reality was, it was Malcolm Allison.
He had so much charisma, didn't he?
He ran it, yeah. And it's just, you actually got to be in it to understand it. I mean, obviously, it's not the level it is today, the way the players get looked after. But it was still incredible. You know, I've never been to a club where you finish training and then you go into the restaurant and they've got steak waiting for you and eggs and stuff like that.
But didn't you start off, your first wage was £5 a week or something like that?
My first wage was £8 a week.
£8 a week. Wow.
Too much.
But Man City was different level. And how many times, it says here Man City, you played 19
It was
times.
a nightmare, actually. I was doing great there and then listen, I'll probably do the same today, but I stuck up with Malcolm Allison with something. Again, it's in my book. I've got a book out at the moment. It's in the book.
I haven't read it, but I want to read it. And what's it called, the book?
The book is called The Life of a Not So Secret Agent. And I stuck up for Malcolm. And Malcolm dropped me right in the shit, and the chairman threw me out of the club. He said, you'll never, ever step foot inside this club again.
Wow.
And I was playing fantastic at the time as well. Like, I couldn't even believe myself how well I was playing.
So, Barry, you play for all these clubs. Is it fair to say, personality-wise, obviously you're a football agent, we're going to come to that, is it fair to say you speak your mind and stand by your morals? And did that get you in trouble at clubs, being moved on or having disagreements?
The only place it didn't get me in trouble...
It didn't get you in trouble?
It didn't get me in trouble. It was when I was at home.
So basically, all these clubs you got to...
had a problem everywhere. The only one I had hardly any problem with was Terry Venables. Could say what you want. He asked me questions. If if I thought he got something wrong, he said, Silk, do you think I'm right? And I'd actually go, no, you're wrong, TV. And he would listen and take it on board.
And Dave Butler?
The one time Butts was the physio.
Great. I love Butler.
He was the physio.
He used to be my physio, yeah.
The thing with TV, with Terry, the one thing that he didn't like is he had a plastic pitch put down at QPR.
Yes, remember.
And out of all the players that were there, the TV interviewed me. They could have picked everyone.
Right.
That one, he could have done it.
Yeah.
Everyone in the club could have done it. They come to me and they ask me, what do I think of the plastic pitch? So I told the truth. I said, for me, it will be great because no one about to slide tackle me. Can't get kicked up in the air.
Yeah.
So, but for someone like Tony Curry, who suffers with problems with knees and ankles,
it affects.
I said, he's not going to be able to walk for 2 or 3 days after the game.
He does.
Terry didn't like it.
Right.
He called me in, didn't like it, and sold me.
Really? On the back of that interview?
And then I found out why.
Why?
He was getting a percentage for every pitch that was laid down in the country.
You're joking, he was on the take. Well,
he wasn't on the take, he was part of the business.
Well, yeah, whatever, commission,
and he
however.
didn't like it, and he said, Silk, see you later. Yeah, it still got on great with him after that.
Yeah, no, I think that. But also, you know, for people that haven't been a professional footballer, and obviously a lot of our viewers and stuff, in that changing room environment, you know, all that testosterone and winning and losing and whatever, what's that like in that dressing room? I mean, it's full of characters and strong characters and lots of opinions and stuff. You know, presumably you were at the forefront of all of that.
Yeah, well, funny, I'll tell you, when I got signed for QPR, Glenn Roeder told me this a little while later. Glenn was the captain of QPR. And when I went there, they only had 2 teams underneath them.
Right.
And there's already something like a third of the season gone, and they were struggling. And Terry Venables said, I'm going to sign a player, Glenn, called Barry Silkman. And Dickie, that was Glenn's nickname, Dickie said, I know Silky. He said, I'm going to bring him here, not just for his football ability. He will lift the dressing room right up, and him alone, just by his character, will take us up the league. Now, I never knew that until I'd been there about 4 or 5 months, and Glenn told me. There's a lot of different characters, and believe it or not, back when I played, not so much now, I think, because money has changed people, there was a lot of players that didn't have a lot of confidence in their own ability.
You had bags of it.
I never cared if I made a mistake. But a lot of players used to go out thinking, don't want to make a mistake. I used to go out there thinking, I want to do something fantastic. So I had a different mindset. But you had the camaraderie between the players was great. I see players now got off a team coach. They've got headsets on.
I know, they're not engaged,
No
are they?
one talks to anyone. We used to play cards, no money.
Yeah.
We'd have like Mars bars, yeah? Whoever won, you had to buy everyone else a Mars bar. We play all different types of games. We'd have a comedy show. Who could tell the funniest joke? Who could tell a joke about this? Who told the quickest joke? All the way to the game, you were engaged with all the players. And that is a massive difference to now. Players now...
It's like they've got a lack of personality. There's no personalities out there, is there?
None.
It is. It's really. I mean, especially with how Sky is, and look, Sky's over the road, Barry, from our studio here, as you can see. It's like there's a real lack of personality. So I need to, because we could talk about your football career, and there's so much to you. Tell me the highest point of your football career and the lowest point of your football career.
All happened the same day.
Really?
First game I played for Man City was against Wolves, my first ever game. And I thought, wouldn't it be a miracle if I scored? And I scored. And it was
at Main Road?
At Main Road. I didn't mean to score. It was a header. I'd never scored with a header before, never scored with one since. And the ball come in, I run to the near post and Paul Power, the left back, crossed it in. And I meant to flick it on. And as it's come, I flicked it on. Next thing, 35,000 people going mad, all the players jumping. I turned around, never forget, I went to Mick Shannon. What happened there? He said, it went straight in. I went, yeah, I meant to flick it in. I meant to flick it on. That was the best moment, I think, in my career that stands out.
You'd love to bottle that up.
It was like unbelievable. Then, the worst moment came the same day. I was very friendly with a guy called Robert Hackett, whose son went on, funny enough, Bobby Hackett, Warren went on to play for Leyton Orient. Robert Hackett, Bobby Hackett. And Bobby called me when I signed Man City. Silk, he always come to watch me play. Silk, got to come to the first game. And I was in a hotel when I got up there. So I said to Man City, can you book a double room for my friend and his son? His son was about 8 years old. And they booked the room for me. I phoned him back, and in them days, there's no mobiles, you had to phone home. So I phoned him and I said, Rob, room's booked. Let me know what time the train gets in. I'll get you picked up, brought to the hotel. He went, Silk, really looking forward to it. I'm in the hotel. I was with my girlfriend, Mandy, who I lived with at the time. It was about 7:30. I remember saying, we're just having something to eat, and I remember saying to her, Robert hasn't called. That's weird. With that, literally as I said it, the girl come through the reception and said, oh, Silky. I said, yeah. He said, I've got a call for you. He said, Silk, do you know what? I've had a real good think about it. Wolves are shit. And I think it'll probably be a shit game. But your next home game is against Everton. And they were up near the top. We were like 7th or 8th from the top. They were about 5th from the top. He said, that should be a great game. As it turned out, it was shit. It was 0-0. He said, I'm going to come to that game. So tell them I don't need the room tonight. Play the game, win 1-0. Go to Manchester Piccadilly station, get on the train into Euston, get out at Euston by an Evening Standard. In the Evening Standard, they had the late football results and the late horse racing results and what they call the stop press. So all the writing was that way, except, so going downwards, except that. That was going down that way, so it was slanted. Turned it, started looking at it, and on the headline of one of them, it said, father of two, Robert Hackett, stabbed to death in a nightclub.
Oh my God.
And I've gone, no, we've run to the phone box, 4768391. Number.
God, you remember it.
Run to the phone box, phoned up, and Mandy and I are going, please don't let it be Rob, please don't let it be Rob, let it be someone else, let it be someone. Someone picked the phone up and all I could hear in the background was crying.
So he didn't come up.
And I said, it's Silky. And Georgina was his wife, said, Georgina said, please, can you come up? We was only, all his friends were black, we were only white people there, but he was like my brother. He was like, we were just unbelievably close. And Georgie was crying her eyes out. And what had happened, apparently 2 black guys started having a fight. And Robert stood up, which is something he would do, and say, guys, we're all brothers, we're all brothers. Why do we want to fight each other? One of them turned around and he thought he punched him in the chest. He stabbed him.
So basically, if he would have come up to the game, he wouldn't have been there and he would have been alive.
He'd still be here today,
that's horrendous.
So what started off the best day ended up the worst day.
Oh,
I still think about it today.
I bet you do. So moving on, you had a short stint as a manager at Staines. So management wasn't really for you.
I was helping a friend out who owned the club.
Right, you helping a friend out. So before we get to the football agent, where you are now, a very distinguished football agent, very successful, and you can talk about that shortly. And I'm mindful of time because we could talk till next week. Tell me about your Greyhound trainer career, because that's mental. How did you get into that? And just give me an overview about that.
I love my cousin used to have a dog, Greyhound, and I used to love going to the kennels with him and walking it.
Yeah.
And then I got involved in going to Greyhounds, and then towards the end of my career, I got a retired Greyhound. His racing name was Sugarville Fire, and his pet name was Al, A-L, Al. And I took him home, and had him for a little while. I had a German Shepherd.
You love your dogs, yeah.
And the owner wanted me to find a home for Al. So I thought, if I keep him, it's going to be very difficult for me, because I was a footballer at Southend. Having one dog was enough. So I found some people where I lived in a little village called Canewdon, and they said, we'll have him as a pet.
And they're really good pets, aren't they, Greyhounds?
Went there, and a little while went by, and I went for a run. And I was with my German Shepherd. I ran all the way around the village, and I come back past these people who had the dog. And I looked in, and they were all having a party, and the dog weren't there. So I stopped, and I shouted out, could see the woman who owned it, and she come over. I said, "Where's Al?" Oh, she said, "We put him away in the shed when there's people here." I said, "Why?" I said, "Well, some people don't like dogs, so we leave him in the shed." So I've gone, "Well, if you want, I'll take him with me now." And she went, "Oh, okay then." I went, she got a bit of rope, I put him on a rope, walked him home, shampooed him, teeth were rotten, brushed his teeth. There he was as a pet. I have him about 3 or 4 months, and there's a man I know called Tom Stanley, dead now. Daughter's name was Janet Tite. She was a greyhound trainer, and she was about 10 minutes from Canewdon. And Tom said to me, phoned me up, he said, "Oh, I hear you got a greyhound at home," because I was telling Janet. He said, "Why don't you race him?" I said, "What do you mean, why don't I race him where?" "Well, we can take him to a flapping track." I said, "He's like 4 years old now."
Which is old for a greyhound, yeah.
He said, "Well, he must be fit." I said, "Well, he's over the golf course all the time, racing around with my German Shepherd." I said, "But he's a bit heavy." He said, "Well, bring him." So I took him, and I knew how to feed greyhounds from when I used to go and walk the dogs. So I knew that I fed them wholemeal bread, cooked meat, raw meat, vegetables, and it was a guide of how much you had to feed them in the morning: cornflakes, shredded wheat, honey, brewer's yeast tablets. So the dog was getting looked after like a racing dog, only he was a pet. So we took him. I never forget this. It was over 4 bends. He went round in second place, and then about 50 yards from the finish, he stopped to a walk. And he said to me, "Put him on the scale." And I put him on the scale. And when he was racing, he was about 32.8 kilo. And he weighed 36 kilo.
Nice.
He said, "No wonder he can't run." He said, "Get his weight down." Got his weight down, took him back there a couple of weeks later, and he finished second. And he said, "I'm going to get you a permit licence for Ipswich." Cut a long story short, get a permit licence. He's my first runner, and he wins.
Wow.
I then buy a greyhound. Somebody asked me to train a greyhound. I get a professional licence to add. One of the guys who asked me to get a greyhound built 2 kennels in my garden, 2 double kennels. All of a sudden, I started getting winners. I went to Wembley with a dog, he won. I went to Walthamstow with a dog and won. Next thing, guy phoned me up, wanted me to take the dog.
So how many dogs did you have in the end?
In the end, I had 12 dogs.
Wow.
Before I packed in. There were about 350, 400 trainers in the country, and maybe more. That was in the southern half. Yeah. All in, there was about 700.
Wow.
Southern half was about 350, 400. I never had more than 12 dogs, ever. Most of the time I had 8 or 9. The average amount of dogs in the kennel was 80, and I finished in the top 6 in the championship.
I know, I remember, because I used to be into greyhound racing, and I remember when you were a greyhound and you had some top winners.
I won the Kent St Ledger, I won the Gold Collar.
It's just
Group 1 races. It was mad.
It's an absolute mental
I was making no
story. Money,
Shams. I had a dog called Madison Supreme. Joey, his kennel name.
Yeah.
German guy owned him.
Yeah.
Johan. I said to him, he come to me unraced. I could see he could run. I give him a couple of races where I knew he weren't going to do so well. Then all of a sudden, I put him in a race. I think this dog will win, and he won. And I put him in a massive race at the time. It was one of the biggest puppy races in the country, the Trafalgar Cup at Wembley. Right. I had 2 puppies, and they were both in it. Joey, who was Madison Supreme, and Billy, whose name was Kilmeady Man. And they both got to the final. They both went through the competition unbeaten, and they were drawn 5 and 6. And the German said to me at the start, if this dog wins the competition, and at the time then, Champs, £1,000 was a fortune to me.
Yeah.
He said, if he wins this competition, he said, you will have £5,000.
Yeah.
I was like...
So which is worth what now?
25, 30
right.
grand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the girls who work for me, I had 2 girls work for me, full time. Yeah, normally people with 10 dogs, they do it themselves, but I had like 2.
Yeah.
At the time, I had 9.
Yeah.
Next day, on the Friday is the race, when he tells me what he's going to give me, dog bolts up. Led all the way, my other dog comes second. First time any trainer had come first and second in the Trafalgar Cup. It had never been done. Right?
Yeah.
So, we're celebrating on the Friday. He comes in on the Saturday.
Yeah.
He brings a bottle of champagne. I don't drink. The girls have a drink. Then he said to me, Monday I'll bring your money. Yeah? So we come in on Sunday. We take the dogs out for a walk. I said to the girls, I'm being treated to breakfast in a cafe in Ockenden. I go off with a couple of other trainers. When I come back, they said to me, Joey's gone. So what we're talking about, so the Germans come down with an Irish trainer and he's took the dog.
And he hasn't given you $5,000?
No. I started phoning him. Nothing.
And the problem is, in that industry, everyone's at it, aren't they? And
it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I had a gamble on a dog one night. I really fancied this dog. 25-1 into 8s, and it bolted up at Walthamstow. Ballaroo Bobby bolted up. Never got a Dina.
I know. And it's funny, actually. My experience in greyhound racing, I got a dog, and I called it Champa's Delight.
Right.
Picked him out from a baby, schooled him, and he broke his leg. He never raced. So that was my experience, but I was into it for a time. So let's move on. Just talking about being a football agent, just quickly, Baz, how you became a football agent, some of the people that you've acted for, and what you're doing now. I mean, I know that's lots of questions.
Talking to you now.
Yeah, obviously.
I become a football agent. I was skint, basically.
Right.
Was living with my wife. We had a...
Is that Ali?
That was Ali.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a severely handicapped daughter, Danielle. She passed away when she was 5. And we basically had no money. We were living... I was training grounds, being successful, but getting no money. Every owner said, we're going to put this on, and they never did.
Yeah, you got knocked all the time.
Yeah, and I was feeding the dogs like the best of the best. And it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
And one day, right out the blue, phone rings. And it's a guy called Danny O'Shea, who I played with at Southend. He said, Silks, I'm at Cambridge now. He's a player here. You better get him a club. I hadn't watched a football match for nearly 4 years.
Oh, really?
I went, Dan, I don't even watch football anymore. Please come and watch him. Please. Drove me mad. In the end, Ali said to me, Silk, just go and watch him. You got no runners.
You got nothing to lose.
Go. So I didn't have any runners that particular night on the Saturday. Off I go in the afternoon, watch him. His name was Alan Kimball. He was all right. Not my type of player, but he was all right. Come home. She said to me, well, what do you think? I said, yeah, he's all right. We sit down, watching telly. She said to me, let's watch Match of the Day. Watch football. I hadn't watched the game, even on telly, for almost 4 years. I went, Al, I've had enough of football for the day. I've gone to watch that game. And this lad wants me to be his agent. I don't even know who's in football anymore. Yeah? She said, just watch it. In the end, she convinced me to watch it. I'm watching the game. One of the games on is Wimbledon. I'm watching Wimbledon and I'm thinking, they play the same style of football as this Alan Kimball plays. Gets the ball and fires bullets into the striker.
Yeah, long ball.
Yeah, they're playing the same. And their left back don't look too clever. So after the game, they said, we're going to interview Wimbledon's manager. I went, I wonder who that is. And on comes Joe Kinnear. I've known Joe Kinnear since I was a player.
He lived in Mill Hill, didn't he? Yeah.
With Bonnie's mate to a Jewish girl.
Yeah.
And I've gone, JK's manager of Wimbledon comes on, they interview him. They've said to him, what are you going to do? Joe, you obviously need a left back. And I'm like that. He said, yeah, well, I've sold Terry Phelan to Man City. We had a young lad playing there today, but I need someone more experienced. On the phone, on the Monday, phone the training ground. Can I speak to Joe Kinnear, please? He said, who's speaking? I said, tell him it's Silky. Comes on the phone, Silky, I cannot believe you're calling me. After all these years, I said, why? I was going to call you this morning. I said, why? He said, I've just bought a Greyhound. I want you to train it.
Oh, wow.
Me.
Wow.
I said to him, JK, I want you to go and watch a player.
I've got a deal for you.
In the end, he watched him.
Yeah.
Coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, got the deal done. Alan Kimball introduced me to other players, and it just took off.
But it's really mad because while you're talking your story, circumstances are happening, and you said right at the beginning of this piece, 80% luck.
It's luck,
and you've had that throughout. But you manifest your own luck though, Barry, don't you?
You do, but again, you still got to have...
But you don't take it for granted.
Shams,
yeah.
I am really good at my job.
Yes.
But if I hadn't been lucky, I don't even know where I'd be.
No, I know. So tell me, how many players do you think that you've acted for in deals?
Oh, God.
Just a guesstimate. Don't go through them now because we ain't got time.
No.
Yeah.
A rough guess?
Yeah.
250, 300.
Wow. And you started what year as a football agent?
1994.
94. So, wow, 31 years ago. You've been at it. Fine. And tell me, what's your? And I know obviously you've done some big. You've done some big deals. What's the sweetest deal that you've done?
So many.
I know. You got to pick one, Baz.
So many. If I had to pick one, I'd say Mark Schwarzer.
Mark Schwarzer, what, Middlesbrough?
Wasn't getting a game in Germany in goal.
Yeah.
Wasn't even getting a game in the reserve team.
Yeah.
And I was approached by a guy that ran Australian football. I brought him over, went on trial to Manchester City. While he was on trial, Steve Coppell resigned. Phil Neal took over, and I got a phone call from Chris Kamara, manager of Bradford. Phil Neal wanted to sign him at Man City, Premier League. Bradford just got into the Championship.
Yep.
Couldn't class them with Man City. But I had a feeling there were problems at Man City. So my advice to him was to sign for Bradford. And his wife at the time went to me, "Is that because you're getting more money out of it?" I went, "Paloma, I'll tell you what to do. You're on your own. Go and do it yourself. Make your own choice." And Schwartzy phoned me back 5 minutes later. He said, "Silk, she didn't mean it like that. We both apologise, yeah? You really believe I should go to Bradford?" I said, "You go to Bradford, you'll have a career. You go to Man City, they're in trouble at the minute. You got a chance of not having a career." He said, "I'm going to listen to you." Went to Bradford, had an unbelievable career, and Man City that year got relegated.
He did. He great. You've got a gut feeling, and you're a matchmaker, and it's your charisma, it's your personality. And obviously, there's more compliance now and regulation being a football agent, isn't there?
A lot,
and the game has changed, but there's so much money in the game. And we've got to wrap up very shortly. Are you still enjoying being a football agent? Do you still have that buzz from 34 years ago?
Still got a buzz. It's slightly different. I'll tell you what it is now. What it never used to be. It's very frustrating because you go and watch a player and you can see how good he is. And I discovered people like Zinedine Zidane, players like that who no one had ever heard of. Yeah. So I Cristiano Ronaldo. I was the first one to walk him into Chelsea. They said
Was
no.
you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Chelsea said no. So I've always had a great eye for a player. You know what happens now? You've got that eye, and they go, "Well, we've looked at the data, and the data don't add up." Then I had it with Martinelli. I wanted to take him to 2 clubs. Well, the data don't add up. Went to Arsenal, have a look how good he is. And he was €2.5 million at the time. So data's come into it, and data has killed football.
Yeah, but then the argument to that, and, I lived in Brighton, so I know Tony and Darren Bloom pretty well.
I know, yeah.
And if there's anyone who's an expert in data, it's Tony Bloom and what he's done in Brighton.
But no, here's the difference.
Go on.
Here's the difference. I'll tell you how they work.
Yeah.
They have all the data.
Yeah.
And let's just say, as an example, they're looking for a player in 4 different positions. Just an example.
Yeah.
And they come up with 9 players or 10 players. Every one of those players has to be watched 3 times.
Really?
And out of every 9 players they pick, they only ever try and buy 1.
Really? So that's what they do.
So it still goes by eyesight.
Yeah, no, it
they
does.
Have all the data.
Yeah.
Then they send people to watch them.
Yeah. But and it's really
There's a lot of clubs are just using data and they don't send anyone to watch them.
No, I know,
It's ludicrous.
and there's so much money in the game. So you're still playing football now.
Well, I was hoping you'd be my agent, James.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
I don't think we make any money.
No, we can make money. Me and you, we could be a winning double, Baz, without a doubt. You're still playing football now. I've packed up, actually. I preferred boxing and whatever. I got a little bit bored and all that type of stuff. You had a heart attack on the football pitch.
I did.
Playing against my team. I wasn't there that week. And our good friend Kevin effectively saved you, doctor.
Saved my life.
On side. And then, because you are like Peter Pan, you're not normal, Superman. Can't believe it. 3 weeks later, you're playing football again.
I was running 2 weeks later and I was playing 4 weeks later.
You're not normal.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, you are an inspiration.
And just carried on as though nothing's happened, mate.
You're an inspiration. I mean,
and still love a woman.
Yeah, we know that. that woman, and that's for another interview another day. Let me ask you the one last question, because this is a property YouTube channel. I'm in property, as you well know. Tell me just quickly, Baz, you are a landlord at the moment. You've had property.
Yep.
Tell us just quickly about your story about owning property. I know obviously you own your own property and being a landlord. Tell us that story.
I love Bournemouth and that type of
Bournemouth's
area.
lovely.
And many
Camford Cliffs?
Camford Cliffs,
Sandbanks.
Sandbanks.
Have you got a place in Sandbanks?
No, I had 2 places in Boscombe.
Jesus, you got a few,
so
didn't you?
I bought 2 places in Boscombe, new development. One of them was out of this world, and the other one was nice.
Yeah.
And I decided to rent one out.
Yeah.
And use the other one
as a holiday home.
As a holiday home.
Yeah.
Problem I had then is that I kept going back to the same place.
Yeah.
So I thought, do you know what I've got to do?
Problem.
I might as well just either rent them both out or keep one and rent it and sell the other. So what I did, I put the really good one up for sale. Before it actually hit the market, the estate agent showed some people 2 days before it hit the market, and they made an offer there and then. I said no. Then a couple of hours later, come back, fine, we'll do the deal. So I sold it. The other one I've kept. It's been years since I sold the other one. It's been about 4 or 5 years. I rent this one, and I'll just carry on renting it out, because at the minute mortgages are too high for people to buy.
Yeah.
Unless you know.
Killer for first-time buyers.
So unless you've got some incredible job, or your mum and dad or someone has
got the
given
deposit.
you
I know, it's really tough.
So rental at the minute is great. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Fine.
It's great.
So look, Baz, you are Mr. Dealmaker.
Thanks.
I thank you for coming to headquarters.
You're very welcome, mate.
Thank you, Matt.
You are very welcome.
Keep on doing what you're doing and being an inspiration.
And you, Shams,
Thank
mate.
you.
And you.
Thank you. So please remember to subscribe on the link below, and you'll get more guests like Barry Silkman. Subscribe now to Talking Property.